Hey there,
Hi, John.
Gene. It's
Karen.
been a while.
Yeah,
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks.
That's good. You got guitars behind you. That's always a good thing.
Mhm. John, we assume you're in charge. Is that true?
I'm fine with being in charge.
Excellent.
I mean, not always, but at this particular juncture, I'm okay with it. That's a good idea. Maybe I'll do that too. Oops. Welcome, Bryn. Heather, do you feel like most people were most of the student team were going to be here or not? I guess I could look and see who actually confirmed on the calendar. Um,
I know of at least 4 people that can't be here, but I made arrangements to talk to them separately.
okay.
And I think
Um,
Christina said she would talk to Sydney or Sydney would talk to her.
Okay. I'm recording this thing and could potentially post it too, because I just
Okay.
by default record things, so that's possible. So why don't we go ahead and get started? So welcome everyone. Thanks for being here. I have just been appointed your leader of this particular event. So I assume we're all here because we're getting ready for tomorrow night's first City of Oberlin Climate Action Planning visioning process. And I did just update the calendar with links to 2 documents. And I think you all received one of those documents earlier, but let me go ahead and share my screen because I think those are probably the easiest way for us to prepare for tomorrow night is just to sort of walk through those documents. So let me just get the documents up. If you want to open them on your screen, you can do that too. Let's see, hold on, I'm not immediately. Gotta root around in my, make sure I got them open. Okay, info handout, there we go. Pardon me here. Okay, good. So if you click, all of you should have just received, and by the way, um, Linda, I put this the first part in a bigger title here so that because it just said welcome. It didn't say what the event was, so I just put an event title on it. So the structure of the evening, as most people I think know, is that this is going to be a very unusual event, and it's explicitly designed to be not so top down and to really solicit ideas from community members. So there is no formal presentation tomorrow night at all. There's solely a set of discussions that occur at 8 different tables. So the library is going to be laid out is there will be 8 tables in some sort of a circle around the room, and each of those tables will be devoted to a different topic. And all of us are assigned to different topics, either energy, water, economy, food, solid waste, education, transportation, or land use and housing. And those assignments are actually in this document here. So this is the second link, and it just says on it notes. So if you look in the email you got from me, you've got links to 2 Google Docs. Hopefully these are fully publicly shared. Let me just check on that and make sure this is shared.
And John, I wanted to clarify with anyone who was assigned to a group that they're not passionate about, that was purely random by, as students said they were available, I put you in as a note taker. So if there's a topic area you're really excited about, I'm sure we can switch people around.
Right. So Heather, I will leave it to you to coordinate any switches
Yeah.
that occur so that people
Yeah.
know by the time they arrive what they're going to be, and we avoid any confusion on that.
Can I
Now,
ask something? Sorry.
yes,
It looks like the facilitator for the table that I'm note taking at said they couldn't be there.
that was
So
actually the first thing I was going to ask is
Okay.
what is our situation with this one? I can do this one.
Yeah, John, I'm hoping you can switch since we have two facilitators for
Okay.
education and we don't need that. And
I'm fine. I'm
Yeah.
fine with that.
yep, so it'll be you.
We said I was going to be a floater.
Yeah, great,
So
thank you.
I just floated.
Great, thank you.
Much as I love education, and committed to it, I'm committed to a good economy as well. It's all good, a carbon neutral economy. All right, so everyone knows where they are here. I will switch back to the other. This document contains a little bit more detail than the other one, so it's worth reading, but it's also less up to date than the other one. So this is really kind of our master document, and this document will be handed out to everyone who participates in the evening. So it starts with, just a little bit of explanation, but this is basically the agenda for each table. And again, we've got these 8 tables, and what's going to happen is that every 15 minutes, Linda is going to ring a bell or do something else, and then everyone is going to move to a new table. And I think the default that we want to encourage people to do is just to move clockwise around the circle. But if there are people who show up and they're like, yeah, I don't have much time, and what I'm really interested in is water and the economy, then they can choose to go to whatever table they want. But I think to avoid just a mayhem of people wandering around, I think we want to encourage people to do a clockwise movement around the room, so that would be the default, is you just move clockwise. And if you have something else you want to do, you can do that. But I don't think we want everyone just trying to figure out what table they're going to go to next and figure out what tables are where every time a bell is rung, because that's going to waste a lot of time for us. So I think we want to inform people. And for those of you who are working with Linda to inform people as they move in, I think we do kind of want to give them a clear explanation as they enter the room about how the evening is structured, and that they can join a table, but so that they understand how it's working. Because I think no one knows how this works except us, and there's going to be confusion unless we try to make it very straightforward and clear to people how the evening works. So yeah, every 15 minutes. And I think actually the way Cindy structured this, we have a little bit of slush time between movement among tables. And I don't think, unless Cindy or Linda or Heather correct me, that we're necessarily going to stick on like an hour measurement. We're going to start when it feels like we're going to start. Are we trying to stick to a particular 15 minutes on the hour? People are moving. I don't think so. I don't think that
No,
makes any
no,
sense.
but that was, I mean, I just wanted to create that timeline just to recognize
Yeah.
the fact that we're not going to start right at 6 o'clock,
Yeah.
and we do
Yeah.
need time in between. So yeah,
I
I
totally
agree.
agree. But we
Yeah.
are
Except
not, we're
I want to
deciding right
interject.
now, we are not fixing it like it's going to be at that 15 minute after the hour where people are moving or something like that.
Can I just say though that we have 8 topics and 15-minute intervals, and that's exactly 2 hours. So if we want to get through them all, it kind of does mean we start at 6 o'clock.
I don't think we can start. I mean, we could start at 6, but I don't think it matters that everyone go to every table. I don't think it makes any difference to me anyway.
Yeah,
Okay.
I hear what you're saying, and it feels tidy to have it possible for everybody to do all 8 tables, or somebody who was there the whole 2 hours. I just don't think it's realistic. There's just no way.
Fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, that's
And
cool.
I also think it doesn't actually matter. We're getting lots of input at every table, hopefully. And, if someone has something they're passionate about, they can skip buy a table. You know, I do think having them generally go clockwise so that we don't have mayhem between these things. But someone wants to skip a table, I'm not interested in water, I'm going buy it, fine. You know, that's cool. And if there's a table that is empty, for instance, I think encouraging people to go to that table so that we even things out a little bit. And I think,
Yeah.
I would think, Linda, that that would be part of your job as sort of MC to say, hey, it looks like we don't have anyone at the food table right now. If there's some people who are interested in talking about food, now would be a good time to go over there.
Sure.
You
Mhm.
know, so I think that's what we have to play by ear a little bit. Okay, so this is basically the agenda for every single table. So for the facilitators, basically, you know, there's a fact list. So this document contains, everyone will have this document and you can point people towards this, but it has these sort of like mini fact sheets we were talking them with a little bit of information to prime discussion on each of the different topics in here. So that's the information below on this sheet. And that's all the information there is on this sheet right now. And basically the facilitator is gonna say, we're gonna start by spending a couple minutes reviewing these points, and then you are going to sort of talk through these points, and you can go ahead and just read them, that's fine, to start things. And then people will be giving 2 minutes. And if you're, for instance, in the energy group, you will say, you'll be given 2 minutes. And has anyone created the sheets we have for these, or are those not created yet? And who's creating those sheets?
The note
Sheets,
sheet?
you mean the packets or the prompt sheets?
The sheets that they fill out at each table.
Yep,
What they
They're,
write
they're
on.
done.
Okay, so there are this set of sheets that that will be at each table. And so people will write this down on the sheet. What is your vision of energy? And so it's whatever your topic is, but if I'm at the energy table, I'm saying, what's your vision of energy in a healthy and sustainable future, Oberlin? Describe 3 concrete improvements to energy that you imagine for Oberlin. And it is your job as facilitator to hold people to this time limit, because we are going to have, everyone's going to be on the same time limit. So they've got a second to jot those down, and then you'll have a chance to go around and have people share one idea. And this is very important because we want this to be an inclusive process. The facilitator is responsible for saying to people, we are going to go around in a circle and each person gets to say one thing so that we don't end up having someone dominating the conversation. And it's your responsibility once to sort of hold people accountable for not taking too much time and saying, we're going to have to move on because, and just to explain to people, this has to be quick. And the first rounds of this, I think, are going to be the toughest because once someone's been through a round of this and it's been well facilitated, when they get to the next table, they're going to know what the rigmarole is. But there are obviously people in Oberlin, like me, who have a lot to say, and you're going to have to cut them off if they're dominating the conversation. And I think that's why you need to go in a circle, and it's just one idea that they can share, and they're not getting into a discussion yet because you've got another prompt that you're going to ask them to jot down ideas on, and that is, of the ideas that were just shared on this energy, what's the one you find most interesting? No, I'm sorry. Of the ideas just shared on energy that you find most compelling, what needs to happen to achieve that? And then they've got a couple minutes to jot down an idea for that. And then you go around in a circle again. And then as time permits, you can have an open discussion, and then Linda's going to ring her bell. Now, the note taker plays a key role in taking notes on, these discussions that take place. So your job as note taker is to sort of try to capture. Now, has anyone created the Google document that we're sharing on this yet? I can do that if that's not created. I'm fine with that, but I think we want to have one document we talked about where all of the notes go on this, which have, sections for energy in each of them.
No, that hasn't been done.
Okay,
That-
I will create. and
That's
share
on
that.
my, John, that's on my to-do list. I'm happy to do that.
Heather, you will create and share it then. I just want to make sure it gets down. I'm happy to have
Yeah.
you do it.
I just haven't, I'll do it before
Yeah.
tomorrow.
So I think what you want on that is you've got a section for energy, but then it's got multiple sections for each discussion, you know, discussion group 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that. And then maybe with bullets in it ahead of time so that it's sort of the format is the same for everyone. That's my suggestion anyway.
I want to throw out something about the prompt sheets, to make it clear that the prompt sheets are specific for the topics at the table. So the energy prompt sheet should only be at the energy table and should be left there when they're done. It does have a place for people to put their name and their email. We just hope that we get everybody's at least once. It's not critical that people put their name and email on every sheet, but we thought it was a less cumbersome way to get the full list of who participated.
And we would like to have their names on each sheet because we would like to be able to quote people in a documentation coming out of this. So even if they don't put their email on every sheet, we do want them. But just to reiterate what Linda's saying, the sheets stay on the table. The energy sheets stay on the energy table. The water sheets stay on the water table. They leave them behind. They do not take them with them because we're capturing their notes on that.
I also would say one other thing, John, is that I don't think you need to read, like if the facilitator doesn't need to read all the points in the water category, those are just sort of some of the things we have done to date on each category to give them ideas about what water even means. It just might take a lot of time to, you know, read all of those and for people to ask questions and understand them. I don't know. Seems to me we shouldn't read those.
Well, I think we should decide what we want to do and be consistent among us in terms of how we
what do others think
So,
about that?
Yeah.
I think we need to have a little bit of time in there for people to look it over, because I think it's, but I agree, reading it we don't need to read it. I mean, it might be that
I think it's fine if we don't read it, but I think if we don't read it, then we should change the instructions and say, we will give you 2 minutes and discourage people from having conversation because that will distract people. I think if we're going to have either it should be read or people should be given 2 minutes to read it with silence, because I know the natural tendency is people are going to start chatting. And personally, I'm not going to be able to read if someone's chatting, and I don't think anyone else is either. So I think if we're going to go the route of giving people time to look at it, which sounds great to me, then we should say we're going to, you know, sit in silence so that people can take a look at these points before we start into discussion. And or it could be, and maybe this is the better way to do it, is to say, please read the sheet and then jot down your vision. So we start with that. We modify the script a little bit. To me, that makes more sense. So we're going to be in silence for the next 4 minutes. Read through this and then jot down your ideas, because then, you know, people can have time to think.
I like that. That's really good.
That makes sense.
Let's do that then. I will modify the language here for that. Is everyone in agreement that that seems like a good way to do it? All right.
My only concern to that, and it's going to be up to us individually to be flexible. If folks take a glance at it, think they know what they want to talk about, or if they've come prepared to discuss a topic, I think we as facilitators at the table need to be ready to just start taking notes on whatever they say, whatever the particular individual says. There are going to be some folks who don't want to stop and read through it. There are going to be lots of folks who do, but for those who don't, who just want to jump in and start talking, I think we need to be willing to be flexible around that. I don't think we should be super rigid
I'm just saying
about making folks read things.
Personally, I'm going to find it super distracting if I'm trying to write down ideas and people are chatting. So personally, I feel like we want to insist upon there being a period of silence for people to write down their ideas. Otherwise, I can't write if someone's chatting next to me. I can't concentrate. And if the facilitator is allowing people to start a discussion while I'm trying to write things down, I'm just going to be irritated and unable to do what I'm being asked to do.
Okay, I hear what you're saying, and I want to make sure that we can do both. So maybe that's a plan that the facilitator steps away from the table a little bit or something, so that the folks who do want and need that time to read it and think their thoughts before jotting some things down have the piece they need to do so. But I think that we're going to get a mix of folks who show up to participate in this, those who are going to be very academic in their approach and want to be really thorough and read whatever materials we have line by line. And there are going to be some folks who are more likely to show up and have a more casual conversation. And I think, you know, it's going to be on the facilitators to be nimble enough to balance both things.
Yeah, I agree, Joe. I think people are gonna have their kids with them too.
Right.
And
There are going to be some
I don't
folks who
know that
have
there's
time.
gonna be a lot of silent time for reflection. I mean, obviously we want some, but I don't think the facilitator can mandate silence for a period of time very well. I think it would be really hard to do.
Yeah, I think
I'm
maybe
worried
we
that
invite
if we
folks
just
to
sort of launch right into discussion, we're not going to have the structure that we intended to have, and it's just going to it'll just be open. I mean, I just feel like we decided on a particular structure, and if we're going to sort of decide individually as facilitators, we're not going to maintain that structure, then I think we can almost guarantee we will have no structure. Because if some people are maintaining structure and some people aren't, then we will have no structure. And that's just the way it's going to be. And it'll be sort of a free-for-all discussion, which isn't really what we decided we were going to do.
did we, and this may have been decided in the meeting last week that I had to miss. Is there going to be just one individual at each table, or are there enough with some of the students who are helping out that we're going to have two at each table? Do we know for sure?
What do you mean?
Like two
There'll be-
facilitators at each table.
One
No, no, no.
facilitator and one note taker.
Okay, so conceivably then, the person who is the facilitator, if they arrive, someone who's a chatty Cathy shows up at the table, the facilitator could step away from the table a little bit, give some conversation, and the note taker can stay there quietly with the person who's reading. That's what I'm trying to get to. What is a way that we can capture all voices and be inclusive of the fact that we may have a structure in mind, how we want this to go, but we don't want to alienate either type of contributor who shows up, those who want to be really thorough, the Johns of the world, and those who are a little more freewheeling and just want to chat. Like Sharon and I are going to roll in and we're going to just start talking, right? We are different people who have different things to contribute. We want to make sure that we capture all of that. I just want to set us up for some flexibility.
Yeah. I just felt like we agreed on the structure. I mean, we could have a totally different structure, but I felt like we'd agreed on the structure, and this is the structure. And if different people are just sort of doing things the way they want it theirs, that we will have no structure. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. If some people agree that there's no structure, we will all have no structure.
I think we have to see this structure as the ideal, but also consider the possibility that things are not going to go exactly as we planned. I think that's
I agree, but if we start with the like any structure goes, then I think we will absolutely have no structure. Like,
No,
if
I
we
don't think
start with,
that's
like,
what
anyone
anybody's
can
saying.
just start chatting, and like if we don't ask people to have respect for others and reflect on this and write down ideas, and we're going to actually write first and then we're going to discuss it. If we don't give people that instruction, then we will most certainly not get that as how people behave. I mean, if we don't instruct people to do something and try to hold them accountable to the structure that we agreed on, then we will have no structure, is all I'm saying, because that's inevitably what happens. If you start with no structure, you will have no structure, and as the evening goes on, there will be absolutely no structure. It's just the way is how it will work.
John, if I might,
Yeah.
you know, it's kind of up to the facilitators at each table to do this, but you know, I'm sort of seeing my role there as, you know, making sure that I clearly explain to people what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And that, you know, you need to take the
Exactly.
time to write this down.
Exactly.
And then as a facilitator, you watch people to see how they're doing.
Yes.
If somebody just wants to talk or something, you say, we're going to get there in just a second. I see we still have a couple of people working. Let's hang on just for a second. And if everybody's done, before the 2-minute time frame, then you can.
Absolutely.
So that's part of my
Absolutely.
thinking that's part of the facilitation process is just being
That's-
alert to what's going on. We don't have to write
Yes.
anything. We just have to be alert and,
Right.
and help people.
100%.
Yeah.
That's what it means to be a facilitator. 100% agree. We set the rules, we try to hold people accountable, and we adjust to, like, if people are ready to go in, we go in. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. That's the way we want to do it. Thank you. All right. Any questions, comments on this? Like I say, I will adjust the language a little bit based on what we just said.
I'd like to know for the note takers who are mostly here, what sort of detail are we hoping that the note takers get? So we'll have the prompt sheets, we'll have that in writing. What do we hope to get from the note takers?
I think we want as clear a record as of what was said, ideas that were contributed, as we can get.
And not worrying about names?
That's a good question. I think if you can jot down now, Linda, you got name tags, right? So people will have names.
I did buy name tags, yep.
Right. So I think then, so it'll be easy for the note takers who obviously won't know a lot of people's names to be able to jot down their names. I think if we can get names, that's ideal. If someone has
But-
an idea, you can attribute it if that's possible.
But content is more important than name.
Yeah,
I think.
totally. Totally.
I think there's an easy conversational opportunity to ask for a name and maybe an email address. Maybe we could reach out to them at a later stage to do more engagement, etc.
The
But yeah, I
prompt
think
sheet
the
should be
So
content
we
is
already
better.
have that information. We will already have collected that information.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Mhm.
Other
Also,
thoughts?
just
Yeah.
as a question, as the timekeeper, I'm really focused in on the 15-minute intervals, not so much the 2-minute intervals, because I'm going to also be talking to people.
Totally, Linda. I think you're only on the 15. And I think
Okay.
Cindy's modification is, correct me if I'm wrong, Cindy, is that you're marking 15 minutes, but you're actually marking 20 minutes as well. So you're marking, okay, it's time to shift. And then maybe, okay, it's time to start when it seems like people are a
Right.
little bit settled. That's your concept, Cindy?
Yeah, right. That, you know, we, the 15 minutes you mark and then you're watching to see when everybody or most people are seated at a table and hopefully that's about 5 minutes. But then you start the timer again.
And you may even say, Linda, okay, everyone settle down. I'm starting the timer.
Yeah, you
know,
might
so that
even
people-
ding your bell again.
Yeah, that I think would be good.
So wait a minute, I'm hearing two things then. I thought I was just going to do 15-minute intervals and then each table would sort of assess when their people are settled and start when you can start. Otherwise, we might be wasting time.
Well, that's a good point. Some group could start, one group could start before another group, but then it needs to be 20 minutes.
I thought
Because-
that we were going for 12 and that 15 was the larger amount of time. That's what I understood.
I don't think so. I think,
Cindy suggested a modification to that and no one
yeah, because
said
it wasn't
differently.
enough time. It's just not
Yeah.
enough time.
Cindy
So-
suggested that it's 15 minutes of active start to
Right.
finish within a group and then
5
it's a-
minutes.
and then it's like, and if it's less than 5 minutes, that's fine. I think you're using your judgment about when people are settled, and you may even be saying, I'm going to start the timer again now, just so that everyone knows that they should be settled if they're chatting, you know, and you may have to do that because obviously people are going to start chatting and that sort of thing. And if we want this to work as we've planned it, then I think you may need to intervene and say, hey, everyone, we're starting, you know. I think that's the idea. At least that was the way Cindy put it forward and seemed like everyone was agreeing with it.
That was my idea. Yeah. So it's 20 minutes per session, but 5 of those minutes are set aside for people to move around.
All right, so then in a sense, we could only get through 6 rounds.
Yeah, that's right. And the reason I'm suggesting we do it that way, I mean, obviously all of this is to a certain extent arbitrary and we could make different choices, but the thing's tomorrow, so we can't keep changing our minds. And I, just blocking out how long I think things are going to take. I just don't think 12 minutes is long enough. And I think that would be so frustrating if we're trying to shove people through a process and there's not enough
Sure.
time for it, and that we're there to
Yeah.
get the ideas and they don't have time to say their ideas. It's just dumb. So, and I have a feeling that, we're going to do this night, and I know we're going to get a lot of great information, but at the end of the night, we might say, you know what? We should have done it this way. And that's okay.
Yeah.
We're going to learn, and we'll have other
Yeah, we're already-
opportunities.
Yeah, we're thinking we're going to do more sessions, so let's do the best we can to stick
Yep.
with the plan we have for tomorrow, and I'm sure we will learn things that will cause us to do it differently next round.
Sounds good.
All right, are there questions on the part of any of our note takers or facilitators? Cool.
I just want to throw out that there are facilitators who are not here.
I will post a recording of this, and I think are there facilitators? Who facilitates who's not here?
David isn't here. Eli isn't here.
They were both at the meeting last week though, so I think
They
that's
were, and will,
fine.
yes.
And I'll follow up with the students that are not able to make it today.
Yeah, and Bryn, you're still here? Is that true? I can't see everyone.
Yeah, Bryn's here.
So Bryn,
Right.
Bryn, you may have to sort of like help David with this in terms of walking him through this, because I don't. Yeah, you may have to. And Emma, is Emma here? Yes, Emma, you're here. You may have
Yeah,
to
I'm here.
help Eli with these things in terms of like just walking as the evening starts. Just walk them through this a little bit since they aren't here. Is that cool?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Also, Raphael is here, and Raphael, you are at the kid table. And
I was a little curious about that.
right, I bet you are. Heather, do you want to share what that activity is?
Yeah, I actually had another student that can't be here today that's really interested in being at the kid table. So if Raphael is interested, he could also switch to the welcome table with you, Linda, and help people get oriented as they come in. Either way, but the kid table, Raphael, will be for people who are there with their children who are too young to participate in the brainstorming activities. So we have some coloring sheets for the kids with some prompts of, can't exactly remember the verbiage, but basically envisioning Oberlin, a sustainable Oberlin in pictures so they can actually draw something. And then we can potentially use that for the dashboard and some other stuff. So if you're comfortable there with kids, awesome. If not, we can switch you to the welcome table.
Yeah, I
no, I'm all
definitely
good with whatever. So just let me know what works. That sounds fun. The welcome table sounds good. Whatever
I
works.
definitely need a body with me.
Yeah,
at
I have
the
someone,
table.
I have people for the welcome table too, Linda, so.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's figure it out tomorrow then.
Okay. And
All
everyone's
right,
encouraged to wear
Miss-
costumes if you're inspired to do so.
Yes, and I have some extra things that I'll just bring if you have nothing. Like if
You don't-
somebody wants to be Ronald Reagan or George Bush or a basketball
not
head
wanna be either
or
of
a
those.
witch or I'll bring some random things.
Okay, and it's optional. You don't have to dress up.
All right. Anyone have anything else they want to say before we wrap? This is going to be fun. and
Linda, what-
interesting. Yeah.
Linda, what time do you want us to be there? Facilitate. Go ahead.
I will be there at 5. There's a group of kids doing Legos and they're going to be doing Legos until 5:30. So we can decorate. I have posters to put up. We have, that sort of thing to get settled. And then the 5:30 to 6 is when we're gonna be moving the tables and the chairs for the pattern that we want. So if a few people could join me at 5, that would be helpful. If the majority come at 5:30, that's also fine.
Linda, you will be, I'm going to do some quick revisions here, but you're going to be printing up the copies of this handout, right?
It's already printed, so make no changes. They will not
Oh,
be.
but we just changed the way we were going to do the intro. We just decided we were changing that.
No,
And,
I mean the hand of the info sheets that are on each table for each category.
But aren't we the what we were calling the fact sheet?
Info sheet that it's done. It took a half a day. So those are done. Info sheets are done.
Oh, this sheet we're talking about.
Yes.
Oh, because we just talked about revising this.
I think the only
instructions
thing
a
you
bit.
changed was the title. It says welcome to that instead of
No,
welcome.
no, also we were changing this so that we were giving people time to read and quietly you know so I guess
Honestly,
that will be an instruction.
we'll have to instruct because it's a
Okay.
lot of paper. I made 60
Okay.
of those. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I have a quick question on the topic table assignments.
Mhm.
I thought that I was doing water and there's a Joanna S there, and I don't know if that is a typo or misremembering of my name, or if there's someone else who's been assigned to that.
That's you. I changed it. However, it was just taken as notes during the meeting. I changed it to Joanna or
Okay.
Joanne, sorry. But I don't have editor access, so I apologize. It's you.
Okay, just making sure.
Yep. Okay, I've got to actually get to another meeting, so I just want to say thank you, particularly to all the students who are willing and able to spend their time with us tomorrow. It's greatly appreciated.
Yep. It's going to be fun.
Okay.
Thanks all.
Okay. Thanks everybody. See you
Okay,
tomorrow.
everyone, take
y'all.
care.
Bye-bye.